Sorry. Eric, you want to start us off with Pledge of Allegiance? You want to start us with the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Troy Anderson.
Present.
Greg Dean.
Present.
Wayne Debo. Eric Dale-Hugh.
Here.
John Fairchild.
Here.
Christopher Gadway.
Here.
Murray Jollifer.
Present.
Jason Miller.
Here.
David Trudeau. And Ozzie Palmer.
All right. Approval of the agenda. Resolved that the superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
Approve.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second? Anderson. All in favor? Or discussion, sorry. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
We have some reports. We'll start with the superintendent of schools, Dustin Relation.
Thank you. So a couple of just quick items for the last month. First, we are working on a family communications flow chart to kind of inform our families of when you have a question or something that's come up, who is the best point of contact, and kind of a tiered system of you start with this person and kind of work your way up through that chain. Shared that with the administrative team yesterday. Had a few updates to it, so we're hoping to get that out and online before the start of the school year. That'll follow with a communication from me as well, just to kind of explain what it is and get it posted on our website. So excited about that. Just a way to help families kind of know who the best person is to contact when they have questions about different items. The extended learning time grant update. So we have filled out all of the paperwork. We've got it submitted. I will tell you it's an interesting process. We've had some new documents that have come to us that we have to fill out as well, so we're working through that. Once we have initial approval on the programmatic side, it then goes to the grants finance side. So we had some communications this afternoon with an update. I asked a few questions, so we're in the process right now of getting that finalized, but we're just, right now everything's been submitted. Now we're waiting for any feedback from the state, so we want to make sure everyone stays updated. And as a reminder, we do recognize that it's highly likely that ELT will look different in subsequent years. We're waiting for the state to kind of tell us what that looks like at this point in time. Strategic planning update. So after our interview process, we did elect to go with a consultant. Her name is Nicole Aliotto of Ala Breve Consulting. I want to again thank our strategic planning committee for their work on the interview process, setting up the questions, and then selecting someone that I think is going to be a really good partner for the work coming up over the course of the next year. Nicole comes to us with a wealth of experience. In her proposal, she actually compared us to other districts of similar size. She specializes in working with districts within New York State and within our region, so that's going to be really, really powerful. Also, just as a side note, she does work through BOCES, so we are going to get some aid back on the contract, which is really helpful for us as well. A little bit of cost savings there. And what I really want to make sure I'm saying publicly is this is going to be a year-long process. There is going to be a lot of stakeholder engagement, and I want to make it very clear that we collectively, and I know the board has already expressed this, we want as much feedback as possible from our stakeholders, our teachers, our students, our community members, anyone involved in Beekmantown. We want that feedback because that's how we're going to be able to make and create the best plan for us for the next 5 years. So I just want to make sure I'm saying that publicly as much as possible. We really do want feedback. There's going to be some focus groups. There's going to be surveys. So we want everyone to partake in those processes for sure. I do want to thank the board too. I know this was a real big push towards the end of last year, so it was nice to allow me the opportunity to come on board and be part of the process to select who the company is that we're working with. So I just want to acknowledge that as well. It's an exciting venture, so I really can't wait for it to get started. Restorative practices update. I know at the last meeting there were some questions about restorative practices. We had a meeting today. Principal Nelson and Principal Bazzaio led that meeting with the Code of Conduct. We elected to go through the Code of Conduct committee for that. Unfortunately, there was a chief school officers meeting today, superintendent-wise, so I haven't had a chance to connect. I got back late this afternoon, so just an awareness for you. I will follow up with the board with an update, hopefully this week, if not next week, and then I will share the updates from the committee at the next board meeting publicly to follow up to make sure that I'm following through on what I stated.
Thank you.
Next couple of things, just really quickly, new staff orientation and opening day, 24-25. We've kind of changed the new staff orientation schedule. We're moving from a 1-day to a 2-day to make sure that it's not overwhelming for our new staff. That was a recommendation from our administrators, and I'm excited to kind of be able to say, yes, let's do that. Our mentors will be part of the process this time, so we'll have mentors in on part of those days to work with staff, which is a really nice change, and I think it's going to be really helpful to form that connection. This is a school community. We want to welcome our new staff in the best way possible. Also, opening days, we're heavy in that planning process. Actually, yesterday we drafted the final schedule for the first 2 days with the administrative team, so we're all taking some time to digest, make sure it looks good, and then we're going to be able to send that out hopefully in the next week to staff.
Awesome.
Last two things, more or less just for the board awareness. One, we did send the New York State School Boards Association Area 6 dinner invite. That came out today via Chelsea. If you're interested, make sure you let Chelsea know so we can get you registered for that. And at the end of the meeting, Chelsea will have a document for you to sign for the tax information that we're going to hopefully approve tonight. So just make sure that you signed those documents.
Okay.
That's what I have.
And I'm going to take it we are not getting a business report from Jen?
No, Mrs. Parliament is actually moving her son into college today, so I told her that's her focus for today.
All right, so we'll skip past B and go on to C, committee reports. Operations committee. And did you want to handle this one?
I can if you'd like. Yeah. So we had an operations committee meeting last week. It was a bit of an emergency meeting. We have identified that there are some concerns with our propane tank on the main campus out in front that need to be addressed. And in speaking with our architectural firm, we decided that we do need to deem this an emergency repair so that we can start expending funds immediately to correct the situation. What will happen within hopefully this week is we will have some temporary tanks installed and transition away from that large tank to some temporary tanks as we start to investigate what needs to be addressed and fixed. So just want to make sure everyone's aware that you will see some activity on the main campus in regards to the propane tanks so that we can resolve that issue. It's not a safety concern right now, but there are some pieces and some parts that we've identified that need to be addressed. So in an abundance of caution, we're going to take these steps. So there will be a resolution a little bit later in the meeting to authorize the board and myself to start expending funds to correct this. The amount does look a little bit large, and I want to point that out now. It's up to $500,000 because we don't know exactly what could be the concern with the tank itself, and it's a 10,000-gallon tank. So out of an abundance of caution, the dollar amount seems larger just to make sure that we can address whatever may be uncovered when we, for lack of a better term, uncover the tank to see what's going on.
Well, and that dollar amount, although we hopefully we're not going to hit it, right? But that's
Correct.
Also going to cover our immediate contingency plan.
Yes.
That's going to cover the investigation, inspections. I mean, the whole boat to make sure that the system is up and running. Not only on a temporary basis.
Correct.
But
yes.
But also finalized and updated.
It is, and we use the propane for our hot water system and to start our boilers for heat. So we do need to make sure we have this addressed as soon as possible. Estimated time frame could be maybe September if things look really good. We're saying that it's always going to probably take a little bit longer, so we're thinking maybe November unless it's something major. Then we'll continue to update everyone, but that's our tentative timeline for right now.
Okay. Any questions? Public comment. Is anybody here for public comment? All right. Number 4, minutes. Resolve that the superintendent of schools recommend to the Board of Education to approve the following minutes.
Motion. Done. Second.
Curry. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations. Resolved that the superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education to approve the CSE, CPSE, and 504 recommendations dated 8/13/24. I have a motion?
Motion.
Curry Joliker. Second?
Second.
Jason Miller. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Move on to 6, personnel consent agenda. Resolved that the superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education the following resolution on the consent agenda: resignations, appointments, unpaid leave of absence, and testing accommodations, scoring, and proctoring be hereby approved. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Chris? Second? Kurt? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That takes us to 7, consent agenda, miscellaneous. Resolved that the superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education that the following resolution on the consent agenda: revised side letter of understanding for summer school, district-wide safety plan, revised 24-25 school calendar, and contract grant procurement supervisor be hereby approved. Is there a motion? Second?
Anderson.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Takes us to financial. Consent agenda. Resolved that the superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education the following resolutions on the consent agenda: confirm the tax rolls and authorize tax levy, transfers, and disposal of district property be hereby approved. Motion?
John.
Second?
I'll second.
Who is that?
Chris.
Discussion?
Just one. What are we doing with the smart boards that we're getting rid of? I have that question too.
Yeah, so they're going to, I want to make sure I'm going to say this. This is my understanding right now. Jen's not here to specify, but they're going to go for auction. Once they're deemed excess material, then they can go to auction. So we've contacted the auction house that I believe that we've used before in order to dispose
We
of
found
them.
all those on a grant, so are we good to do that?
Yes, because they're deemed excess property through this, then we should be okay to do that.
Okay. So this will effectively take them off our asset list
It will take
and
them
make
off
it
the
so that we
asset
can put it up
list,
for
yes.
auction.
Yep, and we've actually purchased new flat panels that have been installed at this point in time. That's why these are coming
Got it.
offline.
All right. This is a roll call vote.
Troy Anderson,
Yes.
Drake Bean,
Yes.
William Vigo, Eric Dale
Yes.
John Fairchild,
Yes.
Christopher Gadway,
Yes.
Curry Gallagher,
Yes.
Jason Miller,
Yes.
David Hughes.
And this is separate because of the fact we need a roll call vote on this. This is the secret and emergency.
Someone want to make a motion to push this, or you want me to read the whole thing?
Oh, I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Well, we were making a motion to push past all this, so I don't have to read the whole thing. All right. This is a roll call vote.
Troy Anderson,
Yes.
Drake Bean,
Yes.
William Vigo, Eric Dale
Yes.
John Fairchild,
Yes.
Christopher Gadway,
Yes.
Curry Gallagher,
Yes.
Jason Miller,
Yes.
David Hughes.
Additional items to discuss. The biggest thing is at our last meeting, we had decided to kind of give everybody a chance, especially since we had some new members. We sent out some information about all the committees that the board is involved in. So we wanted to give everybody some time to really read over that and kind of have some conversations back and forth and divvy up the committees. Just wanted to make sure everybody's good with what was sent out. Obviously, there had to be a little bit of juggling, because we have specific numbers we have to meet for each committee. But I don't know who's keeping tally. But if you read through all that, it makes it so all the board members are effectively have an equal committee share. So all of us will now sit on 3 committees, and just tried to spread it out the best we could. Everyone's good with it?
Yep.
Public comment. All right.
Step right up, Mr. Sear.
Oh.
Ben.
Just quick, you know, it was mentioned that there's going to be repairs to the propane system.
Yes.
And how is that explained, if I can ask, how that is going to be paid for?
So right now, the authorization is to use the general fund for the time being so that we can actually perform the repairs. And then there is going to be a lot of follow-up in terms of how the situation originated and who is responsible for those pieces.
Okay. So that doesn't affect what was allocated to this project?
For the capital project?
Correct.
No.
All right. Just concerned taxpayers.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rick. I expect you up there every time, Rick.
Oh, no.
All right.
Only when I could be obtained.
We're gonna have to pick a clerk pro tem for executive session. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint John Fairchild.
Sure.
Yes. Motion.
Anderson.
Second, Jolliker.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. What is executive session? An executive session is a portion of the school board meeting that is not open to the public. It takes place upon a majority of vote of the total membership of the board taken at an open meeting. There are several reasons listed out in New York State law why we may go into executive session. And there is a proposed executive session subject to board approval. So resolve the Board of Education enter into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Yep. Chris?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Are they doing distance learning center?
We're going to go to a classroom across the hall.
Will you guys wait 1 second while we have the second?
And then we'll have to mention that Tony's going to join.
Yep. And to be clear, we are going to be joined by Tony Brock via Google Meet.